Well, hello. Welcome back. A new season of anime is up and cooking, and if you want our thoughts on that, you're going to have to wait till next time for a mid-season check-in, because right now we're going to take a look back and review the anime from winter of 2024. This is also a kind of a big one because this is going to include some reviews for some shows that started airing in fall. Fall to winter had like the most two cores of any season I can remember in a long time. So we'll be getting those as well. But we're probably just gonna start out with something new, a sequel. All right, first up on the block, we have Boku no Kokoro no Yabai Yatsu Season 2, or The Dangers in My Heart Season 2. This ended up being one of my favorite romance anime in 2023, and I think that season 2 is actually quite a bit better than season 1. I think a lot of that has to do with it's the type of show that once you spend more time with the cast of characters and you get more development, it just kind of naturally becomes better over time. But it really is more of the same thing. It is just a genuinely quite funny, very cute, very wholesome romance that it feels very grounded. I think both of the characters are very believable in like the different things that happen. It's beautiful. It's extremely well animated. It's just kind of a delight to watch all the way through. Especially because I think it's paced very well for romance anime. There's a lot of romance anime that are just like, will they, won't they? Oh, we can't even acknowledge that we like each other. But I think that this one does a really good job in this season of upping the sort of the stakes and getting closer and closer to the actual moment. So of like when a confession happens. And it was great. It was a great climax. I loved how it ended. I think this is a great stopping point if they don't make any more of the anime, because it wraps up decently well, but I want more, obviously. I might go read the manga.
Yeah, as someone who is like not seeing the show at all, do they like at least like get together by
Do you
season
care
2?
about the spoilers?
Not particularly.
Yes,
no.
they get together at the end of this season.
Wow.
It's paced really well.
That's what the finale is. They get together.
Is them go start? Yeah, they start dating at the end.
Yeah. As someone who wasn't that big of a fan of season 1, I mean, I liked it, but I don't think I liked it as much as everyone else. I think season 2 was a lot better. It vastly improved one of the things that kind of bugged me. Mainly the fact that like it's a middle school romance and there's always some like cringe factor with that, especially with the main character that he kind of got over by season 2, and also the classroom Three Stooges that annoyed me a lot in season 1.
Yeah,
was like
only one of them ends up being a relevant character, and he only shows up sometimes.
And he's better.
Yeah, he is better. He's better written in season 2.
Much better. Yeah. I don't necessarily think I agree with the pacing thing that Chris mentioned before, because it really felt like they were dating like 6 times in the second season.
Well, I think that's kind of the point of this season, is that they both know, but they have hang-ups about why they can't make it official.
But they don't really like explore that too much, and it really felt like they were basically dating like 6 times, and it kind of annoyed me a little bit that they weren't like together.
Yeah.
So I do have some minor complaints, but I do think it's a vast improvement from season 1, and I do really enjoy this season a lot. It is probably one of the best romances we'll probably get this year. So
yeah, it's a little bit of a high bar to clear because it's immediately a personal favorite of mine.
Well, we also have another really good romance this season, but we'll get into that later.
But yeah, I think that if you missed this, including one, I'm not saying like go out of your way to binge it immediately, but I think by end of year you should check this series out. I think you're really missing out. Yeah, and hey, actually, speaking of, for a little bit of a testimonial, hey Logan, would you like to talk about The Dangers of My Heart season 2, which you ended up watching most of?
I watching is a stretch. So Chris was watching it with one of our friends, and he was streaming it on Discord, and they did it a lot while I was in the call. So I wound up seeing at least some of it, and my one sentence testimonial is that if I could trust most romance anime to be this well constructed, I would not loathe the genre like I do.
That's high praise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it even convinced a hater that it was actually not that bad. But anyway,
yeah, if it could convince Logan to like actually like watching a rom-com show, then like damn.
I don't think Logan was actually watching it though. Like
well,
I've
like,
seen when Logan's
tolerating
like
it
in the call. In the call is like having it on his second monitor to the side while he's like
doing
doing
something
3
else.
other things.
But he
So-
reacted
Yes,
often
but
enough that
still.
he was definitely at least paying some attention. I don't need to audit Logan's eyeballs per minute on this TV show. I just wanted to get his take. But yeah, I think that this one is one of the best. Like, obviously, you can see the score's insanely high. I think that this is one of the better romances I've seen in a while, and I just really like the dynamic. I really like both of the main characters. I think they're super well written. It's a very endearing show, and you want them to be happy together. Good full cast. I like the whole cast actually.
The whole cast.
Yeah, I think it is decent. Not like every character is amazing, but I think it's well fleshed out. I really like the main character's sister is funny. I love Aunt Anna's dad. Love him. Love that.
Okay,
guy.
just because he's a gamer.
That's
Okay.
a good bit.
It is a good bit. Anyway, anything else on this one?
No, I don't think my praises would go as much as you do, but I think we kind of all established it's a
It's
good
very
show.
sweet. If
you
you
just
like
watch it.
rom-coms or romance, this is basically the best it's been done in a while. So I would check it out. Okay, next up is Bucchigiri. Someone else take it away. I'm sure we have lots to talk about.
I probably came out the most positive out of this experience compared to everyone else. But this is probably one of the dumbest shows you will ever watch. And like, at first that was a very good thing. But by the end of it, like, it got too dumb for its own good. There was a lot of like high expectations coming from this show, or going into the show, since this is like by the creator of Skate the Infinity. And like, I felt like it was like really like meeting those expectations by like the first couple episodes. The pacing of the show was just bizarre, and some of the like running jokes were like hit or miss. And like by the end of it, like the story felt like I guess like the story arc that it was like ending on, it felt like that should have been like the halfway point and not the end. Like, I don't know, this was just very weird. But like at the very least, the wrestling episode was like really fun, at least for me.
That was a great episode.
The wrestling
I like
episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, when they all got together and like fought on the beach.
the group date.
Oh, right, yes, the beach date.
Yeah.
I think the show wasn't dumb enough. I think the show was at its best when it was just 2 guys randomly punching each other for fun, and
Agreed.
anytime it tried to get serious, it got actively worse. It also doesn't help that the main character is one of the worst main characters of this
Kind of the
season.
most
I'm glad
insufferable main
I
character I've seen in a long
think
time.
maybe the worst main character of a show that I finished.
Yes,
That I've ever seen.
I don't think I've ever had a worse boy contender be a main character, and I think he's a contender.
He's
up
number
there.
1 on my list right
What are
now.
you talking about, Tim? We fucking watched Rent a Girlfriend, and the main character is the worst character of all time.
I feel like this guy's worse.
He's worse
No.
for sure.
No.
No,
Like, this
Anyways,
guy's bad.
We're getting bogged down.
I
But-
think the girl actually got a lot better throughout the show, which is they
She
kind of
stayed
put
the
places.
same. What are you talking about?
I
it's
think
not
she
that
got
she got
better.
better. It's that she got more
She-
screen time, and her deal and what she was doing was vastly more interesting than anything the main character did.
Like
she's
crazy.
crazy. She's actually
She's crazy, and she has that brother fetish. But like, she comes through and she like smacks the main character into like to sense when.
But
you
no,
know,
but she doesn't do that. Honestly, I think that that's a knock against the show, because it would be one thing if she had given him any reason at all ever to believe that she was interested in him, but she
It's
is
not-
so explicit.
She's not there as a love interest. I mean, like when the fact that when the best friend guy was like in the dumps and the main character didn't give a shit, she like took him to the roof and like slapped him and be like, "Don't talk to me," to like help your friend out.
I know, but that's
No.
just because
Well,
she's one of the only characters that seems to have a functioning brain in this TV show. I don't know, man.
Exactly. So it just bewilders by me. Like from episode 1, she was like one of the worst characters, and then by the end of it, she was like one of the better, just because she was like somewhat competent compared to like everyone else.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So back to what we were saying. I think the plot with the whole the spirit people having that conflict was dumb. I think
Yeah.
it was not even explored at all. I think the brother having this meltdown was also kind of out of left field and not handled really well. It's just as soon as we try to take things seriously, it just did not work for the show. And I was like already like not really feeling it by the mid season, and this kind of just I could kind of see that kind of heading this way. I think you guys will find with it because you just saw like, oh, episode 2, the fight,
No,
which is like really fun.
I was by about the mid-season is when I was really like, actually, I think this show might be bad.
I mean, yeah,
was
we
just
did
hoping-
delay watching the show.
Mid-season by like episode 3 is what I'd say, because I think you guys watched the first 2 to 3 episodes when we did the mid-season.
I think by then the novelty hadn't really worn off yet, and there was some stuff that was bugging me, but it was like, it's early in a show, they have time to fix it. It's just that same shit was then never fixed and actually got worse as the show went on, and so that was when it really became truly problematic. I want to hear Logan.
Yeah, Logan.
I was gonna say I want to hear from Logan before I go off because I have a whole thing.
I mean, honestly, you guys have kind of covered a lot of what I was going to talk about. Actually, I was going to share my thoughts on Bucchigiri, but unfortunately my IBS is flaring up and I have to waddle to the bathroom.
Of all time.
Oh God.
Okay, then I'll be mean. This is one of the biggest wasted potentials I've ever seen in a show recently, at least, because I think visually the show looks and sounds great. I think it's got such a unique style that's this blend of like Okinawa culture with like an Arabian Nights theme, and that is like really well done in the way that like the buildings are designed and the anime, like just every like the text is framed. It's just there's a lot of work went into the style and look of this show, which I think is excellent. It's a little silly, but it's great. Which is why I didn't want to drop it, because like it was fun to watch for that and the action was good, but like I don't know who's in charge of writing this story. This story doesn't make any goddamn sense. And it's not like it doesn't make sense, but it's a goofy, fun, like boys punching each other show. And it's like Tim said, anytime that the macro plot tried to make any moves, especially in the back half, I have so many questions. Like, first of all, the main character literally never changes. He never gets better. He does not develop in any way. He is the same lazy, like disinterested piece of shit who is obsessed with a girl who hates him, and is completely delusional about his chances with the girl, which is just frustrating to watch as he tries again and again and again to talk to her, and then she just clearly doesn't care. Which, by the way, there was no development there. At the end of the show, he is still like that. He doesn't give a shit about his friend. I don't know why they keep saying they're friends. He clearly doesn't like him very much until the plot demands he does, is at the very end of the show, even though he was like ignoring the fight, and then the other two people had to come drag him into it. I guess.
You'd think there'd be like some sort of like inciting incident to like make him like hate him
Like,
or something
he
like that,
got-
but like they just never explain it.
He got the powers. He didn't really want them. He got dragged into some fights and used them. And that was it. I don't know. He's got to be one of the worst written main characters I've ever seen, and it's insane. I think if you cut him from the show goes up like a full point and a half. Like it, and I do also think that the conflict at the end where the red-haired best friend character like becomes the villain because his brother died, except he didn't actually die. He was fine. He was just kind of in a coma maybe and made a full recovery.
A really
I'm so mad
dumb
about that.
debate. I actually forgot about that. That really made me mad.
And a lot of the shit that happened in that arc, I think, was incredibly stupid and poorly conceived, but at least it was boilerplate. It's like typical shonen action shit. It doesn't help that the whole, like, I have to be stronger because of you and my friend, and it's just, I don't know. I was really let down by this show. I think it's actually kind of bad, and I wouldn't recommend anyone watch it, despite the cool visuals. Great OP and ED though.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's kind of interesting how like there's like a bit of a sliding scale of like on how good a show is, and like sometimes like really bad shows have really good OPs and EDs, and then really good shows have very like mid OPs and EDs.
Yeah, it can happen. Either way, I can't recommend this, especially because I think we haven't started it yet, but Windbreaker is coming out this next season, and I've heard that is a better
I've heard
delinquent.
great things about it.
It's much better.
Yeah, so just watch that probably. Okay, moving on. Next up is Kusuriya no Hitorigoto, or the Apothecary Diaries. We finally get to talk about this one again. It's been a long time. This is a exceptional anime. I think that to take something that has the potential to be a very dry like subject material, which is like, Chinese court drama and medicine, and to elevate it to the level of like incredibly well done mystery writing that this show has, with just phenomenal characters, incredibly good like intrigue, and like who's doing what, why is everyone making these moves, and then like also a great core relationship that is developing between the two main characters all at the same time. It's pretty masterful. I am honestly surprised that this was a light novel. I didn't think that people who wrote light novels were like actually good at writing. Mahou is one of my favorite main characters recently. She's incredible. She's very fun to watch because she's a fucking freak that loves drinking poison. But she's also kind of got the like sarcastic main character thing going on. She's just a very fun character to watch bounce off of everyone else and do her work. Basically, if you like House, the TV medical drama, you'll like this show. I'm joking about that. It's hard actually to boil down everything that makes this show good without it sounding like I don't know. I feel like if you explain it in detail, it might get boring. You're just gonna have to trust us. It looks great. It's incredibly well animated. There's tons of Sakuga, which is a weird thing to say about a show like this, but there is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. The soundtrack's great. Kevin Penkin worked on it. I thought the arc towards the end in particular was just the best, where you learn about.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was it. All of the mysteries in the show are pretty well constructed at minimum, but that was really good.
Yeah, we got owned.
The big reveal about we got totally owned. Yeah, and that was just a really great moment. And like Chris said, I like Mahou as a character, and I really like Mahou and Jinshi's dynamic together. I think that they're a really great pair of characters to watch bounce off of each other, because she seems like the only person in the entire world who like can screw with him and get away with it. Yeah, and that's a lot of fun to watch.
It's a classic dynamic of like what am I trying to think of? It's like the character that has a high status and no one would dare talk shit to them, and the character that gets to talk shit to them, and that's like and like honestly that's kind of a romance trope too, and you know, for obvious reasons they are clearly they're setting up them in the I think very long game if Mahou ever even acknowledges that is happening. But yeah, how about you, Tim? You have any thoughts?
I like the mysteries. I think I agree that each of the mysteries on their own were interesting and cool. I wish we had more developing mysteries, more like the finale one that kind of like progressed the stories more.
Yeah,
because it really felt like the first couple of mysteries were all like very standalone mysteries, and we watched them and it was like, oh, it's cool, but like what?
Well, the first one wasn't. The one with the babies.
I'm talking about in general.
Sure.
Most of the like gen mysteries were like, it just felt like we were just going from one mystery to mystery, and I kind of wanted to be like.
A lot of them in the back half were connected.
They were connected, but we never will explain like why they were.
Well, I don't think we found out. I don't think we know everything yet. Like the season ended.
Hinted at it
because we don't know what the fuck is going on with that other lady. I mean, like there's a lot. This show is very good at suggesting things and not necessarily confirming them. So there's a lot of stuff where if you're paying attention, you can like make some guesses.
I feel like the show hung around on these like seemingly meaninglessly mysteries a bit too much, and I really like, especially after giving us that last like couple episodes where we could see where the mysteries in the show can take us. I really wanted to see more. Than I wish the show, I don't want to say speed through it, but I wish the show
would focus more on the
mysteries
bigger,
more like that too. Yeah,
more main focus, story, less side quests.
Like the mystery of Jinshi and the masterminds and all that, and you know, progressing through that.
Well, hopefully we'll get more of that in the next season. So,
yeah, the soundtrack was good, like you said. I actually don't think Penkin's soundtracks were the best of the four. I think they were like 4 people doing music for them.
Yeah, I noticed that it was a group. It wasn't just him. Yeah, I'll have to go back and listen.
I think his was like the violin kind of slowest tracks for him, but like the epic kind of orchestra mystery ones for I think someone else. But yeah, the OC is good. It's definitely a contender for OC of the year. I'm already slowly going through that just because I know it's going to be a pain this year to do.
Yeah, I don't know if we have much else to say. This one is hard. Like I said, it's hard to recommend, but I think its massive popularity, despite its subject material, is a good indicator. Because like this show broke out. It like a lot of people liked it and watched it. But
I'm a little surprised at how well it broke out.
me too. I
Like
think it's
the
so
score
sweet.
is like 8.9 right now,
Mhm.
and I don't think it's like a Mao 8.9. Even though I think the show is really, really good. I
think it's a Mal 8.9.
don't think it's
That's
Mao.
that. I
At least not
really
yet.
like this show.
I think season 2 could be an 8.9 once it
Sure.
hits more of those mysteries that I was talking about.
There's just so many great moments. It's like if you're looking for like a good drama, like a proper drama to like really sink your teeth into and get invested in these storylines and have these big reveals and dramatic moments. If that's something that you've been missing out on, definitely watch this. This is one of the best examples of that I've seen in a while. I can just think of so many moments. Like obviously the episode 4 moment when she goes WWE on that lady's ass, and like the scene where with the poisoning at the big royal event with the little girl and all that stuff, and then and also the entire Lacan or whatever his name is arc towards the end. A lot of great stuff. Seriously, I know I was talking about Bokuyaba. If you're able, if you think you can do it, please give it another shot. It's so good.
Yeah, it's definitely like on my list of shows to try to watch before the end of the year.
Kusuriya is for next year.
Well, that's great.
25.
All
Not
right.
bad.
All right, next up.
Look, yeah, I may have dropped one of the best shows of the season, but I also ended up watching one of the best shows of this season. I'm not gonna gas it up that much, but it is insane how this ended up being one of the most fun shows this season. Like this is like the amount of fun I was expecting out of Bucchigiri. Like
The boundaries this show pushed,
every
and
single
the
fight,
animation that it displayed was
it is
unexpected on both
pushing
fronts.
boundaries every single episode. And in one of those episodes, I think it went too far.
The one that, the one that I told you about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
okay.
that one went too far. But otherwise, everything else was really fun. The it's just so interesting to have the perspective of the main girl. Like, she's the villain, and she's just like a fan of magical girls, and like now she gets to like inspire the magical girls to actually like be better, to like be able to defeat her. It's really cool. I actually really like it a lot. And then in the second half of the show, like they do a whole arc of them going up against other villain magical girls. And like I really thought it would be like the whole rest of the show, but it just ended up finishing within like 4 episodes. And then I guess like the last 2 episodes were just kind of like training against them. I'm really interested into like what the show becomes after that, you know? Because like the last episode, I'm getting ahead of myself. The main rivalry of the show is like the main character villain girl versus like one of the side main magical girls. Because like normally it would be like the leader versus the leader, right? But like no, it ended up being the leader versus.
I really feel like they're all kind of the main. I don't think any of them are really sides.
No, I mean, but like you know what I mean? Because like it's like
there's only 3 of them. It's 3 on 3. That's not like a huge enough cast to be like, oh, these are the side characters and they're like the focus.
But like I mean, like there's always like a leader, like the de facto leader, and like the subordinates, right? It's like if like Rita Repulsa had a rivalry with like the Yellow Ranger for some reason. Like it would normally be the Red Ranger because like that's the leader, but no, she has a rivalry with the Blue magical girl.
I just don't think it's that like mind blowing of a.
I'm not saying it's mind blowing. I just think it's interesting, you know. Because like I said, like you would expect it to be the pink magical girl because like she's the leader. But no, like if anything, like she just ended up being more like comic relief.
Well, she had her own moment with
I mean, she had the worst episode.
She had a lot of bad episodes.
No, I wouldn't say a lot. I would just say that one was like, I keep alluding to it. I'm gonna come out and say it. It is a diaper play episode. you are free to just skip that episode.
Yeah, I'm sure just that episode is uncomfortable, and there's no other moments in the entire show's time that are like that. I feel like if you're watching the show and you're skipping the diaper play episode, you're a huge pussy and you should commit. And like, why would you suddenly have shame? Like, you know what you're watching. Come on.
I don't know, man. Like I said, like that one goes too far.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, you knew what you signed up for.
I did not sign up for diaper play. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, but yeah, so like the blue girls, she like gets like a powered up form by the end of the season. So like I'm very interested to see if like the rest of the magical girls are also gonna get like a powered up form, and like how the rivalry just continues after that. It's really cool. Kiwi, she is a high contender for best girl of the year. Best girl of the year for me this year.
Man, interesting bar. I really liked how they tore down the blue magical girl by like the mid season, and they built her back up towards the end. I think that was a nice payoff. I think the production is really good, not just the animation, but I think the voice acting was also really good.
Oh, the voice acting was phenomenal.
The main girl character is basically a brand new VA, and I think she killed it with her Utena. Aoi Koga was great as Kiwi. It was great to see her like get out of her like kind of like cocky baby voice that she's been kind of doing lately into a more like psychotic action role. It's nice to see her diversify and she can like handle these kind of roles. So, but it's for the show it is definitely above your like average shows, but it is like one of these kind of shows, and you know pretty quickly already if you're gonna like watch it or not.
Yeah, like if you're against the ecchi, then you're not gonna like it. But if you're about ecchi, go for it, my man. It's fun. Just skip episode 6.
Don't skip episode 6. Watch it and accept your fate. You knew what you were getting into. Okay, next up is Metallic Rouge. I wish we had watched more of this show, but I'll be honest, this was a huge letdown, and I would like to hear Tim's thoughts on it. I think Logan and I made it to episode 5 or 6
okay,
or something.
Far
so you only watched only one more after I dropped it then.
Yeah. I don't think
when's episode 5?
I don't fucking remember. The problem is this show is that the narrative is so fucking dense. It is almost impossible to tell what the fuck is going on in the macro plot most of the time. I don't even remember. There was like a kid that got shot, and I don't know, dude. Do you remember at all?
If you don't remember, what makes you think that I'm gonna remember?
Know. Anyway,
there was like it was like the kid that got shot is like the last thing that I remember basically.
I was having some trouble with this one.
You didn't even get to the bad part yet.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone was talking about how Bucchigiri was like the wasted potential show of the season.
Yeah.
I really think it's Metallic Rouge, honestly.
Agreed.
They had everything there. Like, they had a cool world built up. They had really cool music and animation characters that had really good dynamics to each other. Like, everything was there. And even though people complain about like, oh, like I don't know what's going on, things, it's like that's fine. It's fine not to drip feed users like information or tell things linearly. A lot of like the older shows were like that, but it's fine. I like just be like have faith, everything would pay off. And then the show kind of just like fell apart by like episode 6, and it continued to fall apart. Where like the character relationships completely like change. The main two girls who were like buddies, people were like lesbian shipping them together, were like super cold to each other, backstabbing, trading,
that
and
sucks.
she was like
that was the only thing I liked about the show was that
a completely different person. She was actually like an undercover cop or something, and she ended up arresting the main girl for a while, and then it turns out she was actually a another undercover person for the super alien
Oh, a
race.
triple agent.
It's a whole it's like Chris said, it was very dense, and it is very dense, and they really rush and push through the last couple of episodes where it really felt like it was a 2-core that they suddenly had to squeeze into a 1-core.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And it's just there's a lot of exposition too, and that's not it's lame to have so much of the world building dumped on you in the way that it does, and I don't know. And also not to be reductive, but if you're gonna have all this extremely complicated political like world building going on in the middle of your dense sci-fi world, I would maybe don't just have it be Blade Runner, because it's just a Blade Runner knockoff at the end of the day. I was hoping that it would maybe be a little bit more unique, but it's kind of just like, oh wow, there's like artificial humans and they have less rights. Whoa. Like, it's so original. I don't know.
Like, I remember when we were doing the preview for the show and I was giving you the lore dump already. Like, even me, who has only seen like 20 episodes, had like a giant like dense lore dump to tell. And I remember Chris DMing me and being like, hey, maybe don't give the whole like 10-minute like lore dump speech to us in the podcast. And that was probably a sign that it was going to be a very like heavy episode. I just hope that like
it would stop and it would
stop.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
And like I really like kept holding out that the show was like going to pay off eventually.
Part of the reason that I dropped it is because I heard it didn't. Like, I was fully intending to get back around and like binge it, and then I just kind of heard from multiple sources that it never went anywhere and it was kind of bad. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I won't bother then.
Said, I do think people are way more harsher on the show than they probably should be. Like I'm harsh on it in the fact that like it probably should have been like a 9 out of 10 and it ended up being more like a 5. It was just like a huge waste of potential.
Yeah.
I don't actually think the show was like actively bad. I think it's probably passable if you want to watch something. Like, I wouldn't stop anyone if they said they were going to watch it, but
it is a little bit disappointing for a Bones production to fall off this hard, though. You kind of want something a little bit more impressive.
But this was the big like 25th
And
anniversary project.
it's like, how long is it going to be before we get an actual good anime from Bones again? You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I think it's just this director.
Yeah.
This director has pooched the bone on like 2 very high profile production.
Yeah.
First it was K1 Tuesday with the Cowboy Bebop director.
Carol. Well, yeah, that was Watanabe, but I like Carol and Tuesday okay. I don't think it's his best, but it's still solid.
I feel like it was a huge wash potential, especially towards the end when they went all like political.
The back half is not as good.
He just cannot like close a story, and then Tag Rouge was also like another one that he just like. Both of them should have been really like easy high hitters, and I think he threw the push on both of them.
Yeah, too bad. That is lame because this is one of my most anticipated shows of this season, and it just kind of didn't work out. But oh well, can't all be winners. All right, speaking of biggest anticipated shows for some people at least. Juan, you just finished this. Tell us about it.
I binged the entire back half of this show today. What was it worth it? Let me say. I kind of dropped it after the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, me and Juan were watching it and we just kind of we kept watching the new ones expecting it to be better, and then I just gave up after episode 4. I was like, this is the same shit. It's just gonna be the same shit.
Like nothing happened for the longest time. And then when I watched episode 5 today, it immediately picks up because like I guess between episode 4 and 5, like the day after of him like recovering from beating up the serpent in the train station, he just completely does a 180 in his personality. And like he goes from like a pussy bitch baby to a Sigma Chad in just one simple trick.
Wow.
And like literally just the personality shift like makes the show more interesting because like, you know, he's not a pussy bitch baby anymore.
He's such a wet blanket in the first couple of episodes. It's like he is the most milquetoast boring main character of all time. He has virtually no personality.
I say that he got more interesting when he became a Sigma, but then it got old very fast.
Yeah.
He still doesn't have much of a personality.
Yeah, like now he's just like a boring
He's just a plot device.
MC instead of a wet blanket.
I would call Soul Leveling basically, it doesn't do anything new. It's basically your like traditional like power fantasy / isekai show.
It's
it
like
just has,
the most power fantasy show I've seen in a while.
there's others, trust me, just you haven't seen the isekai garbage. But like it just has, the only thing that really like helps it out is it has that extra like A1 flair to like really like
Yeah,
make
they're
the
just
fight scenes
they're just adapting an
elevated a
extremely mediocre story very well, which is kind of frustrating actually. Like put your
I don't know
resources.
very well.
Yeah,
I think people actually complained about the adaptation quite a bit, but it has some good production value behind it because it's A1, and I think that's what really like makes it stand out among the other power fantasies. But like at its core, it's really not doing anything revolutionary or new to really make it stand out. That like, but so it's not like, you know, something game changing, but it's not awful either. And in fact, it actually probably is slightly above average because of the fight animations, but it's just, that's really all it has. I wouldn't necessarily say anyone to go watch it or not watch it because of that.
I mean, you say like the fight quality is like really good. I don't really think so. Like I feel like most of the fights are just very like by the numbers fights. You know, like it's like sure it's like well animated, but like I don't know. Like I just have higher standards for a fight.
Right.
Well, you're also going off of the back of JJK too.
Yeah, kind of.
Like compared to your like average fight scene, it is like a better fight than most, but it's not like, you know, I think for it to be a quote unquote like good show everyone should watch, it had to be like at least like Demon Slayer level fight.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quite there. It was good, but it wasn't like
Demon Slayer does pull me back in every time because the action is so good. Like the Ufotable banger.
Right.
Even though I kind of am starting to hate the narrative, but it's okay. This is just fine, and that's not enough to get me to keep going.
I will say, episode 11 does kind of live up to the hype of what solo leveling has been like hyped up to be. You know,
yeah, the promise.
Like episode 11, like it's like centered around like a fight against a knight. It's just straight up feels like a Dark Souls boss. And it's actually really cool, and the fight animation quality like actually does step up and like look incredible, and it actually does like some like cool stuff as well. Like right at the climax of the fight, like it actually like goes like all like black and red. It's really cool. I actually really like that fight, and like I would honestly say like you could watch that fight on YouTube, and you will get the entire enjoyment of solo leveling. There's also a character that is introduced halfway. He's like a rich kid that like, you know, he's just like along for the ride. I'm actually more interested in him than I am in the main character.
I'm more interested in the sister's classmate.
That too, yeah. Like they just kind of like introduce her and then like they don't do anything with her for the rest of the season.
Like the rich guy is just rich, and he's kind of just there. The girl, like we don't know what her deal is necessarily, and I'm kind of more interested in knowing her.
Yeah.
I'm also ready to meet the main S rank chick because I know she's like
she's probably really cool.
A lot, but we haven't seen her very much. And I kind of want to see her.
Yeah, and the season ends with the Arise quote. Like everyone like hyped up. They're like, oh, this is gonna be like the coldest scene in all of anime. And like now I see him like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. It's not super cold, but like I get it. And like it is interesting actually. Cause like that whole like arc in the last 2 episodes, it's like him changing jobs. Like it's a job change quest. And he ends up becoming a necromancer, which is like that's an interesting power for a main character to have.
Well, him getting the knight was the interesting part to me. I'm curious to see the knight come back,
right? But him having that power in general is going to be really interesting because like now he's probably going to like fight bosses later on, and like he's going to like recruit them, and then like the bosses are going to like help him out in like bigger, tougher fights. That's going to be interesting. So like for me to like actually be interested in the show after 12 episodes, that's a little crazy.
Are you gonna keep watching season 2?
If season 2 comes out at a reasonable pace, like I'll watch it. But otherwise,
it's confirmed. But
Season 2 is confirmed, but it has no date whatsoever.
Okay.
And it's A1, so I think you should probably wait a while, because like
I
they're
don't know.
still working on Nier Part 2, and that was like a year ago.
yeah.
I just don't trust. I don't trust the webtoon fans anymore. I shouldn't have already, but like
Ever
Logan
since we got
is
high school.
always
are
right.
they just every single webtoon adaptation, the narratives are just they're all very amateur. They are just very amateurly told stories that have like a ton of basic flaws from that, like it seems like someone writing a story for the first time would have. And it's always crazy to me how the fans just eat them up and insist that they are just these great, like incredibly compelling, like hype stories. And I'm just like, I cannot understand how you could get invested in this story. There is just nothing to grip onto. It is so generic. So I'm done. I'm not gonna be spending much time thinking about solo leveling again. It
Yeah.
failed the test for me.
This is very much and like an entry bait show. Like this is
Yeah.
something to like get someone
again,
interested in anime.
If you like that type of story, watch Shangri-La Frontier. We're gonna talk about it later in the podcast. It does the
I
same
think
thing but better.
I think they're two very different shows.
they're very different.
I
It
would
does
not
the power
say,
fantasy thing better.
A little bit.
A
little bit.
Anyway,
I don't know.
But I
about
don't know,
power
like,
fantasy.
we can
Goes
talk
with
about
power
Shangri-La
fantasy.
when we get there.
Anyway,
next episode
JJK
show
better.
and
Like
watch-
if you want like a
those are
good action
completely
shonen, watch
different, but
JJK.
yeah, there's plenty of good action shonen.
Watch Demon Slayer. Fuck it,
yeah.
dude.
I'm sure the people that watch Solo Leveling have seen both of those shows. Anyway, to talk about this one, the Angel.
Oh yeah, now we go from like one pretty mid show to another pretty mid show. This show was at its most. By the way, the name of the show, Oroka na Tenshi wa Akuma to Odoru. I don't know if I hope we've been saying the name of the other shows. I don't know if we have. Okay. The Devil and Angel has been hotel whatever.
That's what it is.
This show was at its most fun when it was like a slapstick rom-com, like just them trying to like constantly like trying to one up each other, and then like it leading up to like them realizing their feelings for each other. Like that was fun. That was neat. And then the show for some reason became a battle shonen. I'm like,
yeah,
why are these shows constantly trying to become shonens? I'm like, you were already good. Why are you trying to ruin it?
I fully agree with Ron. The rom-com aspect was the best. That's what like got us all like interested in the show initially. It was fun. I think the boxing metaphor.
The boxing metaphor is
were
great.
great. Like I think by like episode 4 and 5, when I was like, yeah, this is really pretty good. I think we'll keep watching it. And then as soon as we said that, it was like a death fly, because it was just, and it just turned to a shonen, and it really just felt like a completely different show. I don't know what else to say.
Like we start fighting the angel's avatar, like like how she sees herself or whatever, and then right after we fight her brother, and the brother's a dickhead, and I hate him. And like they spent like 2 episodes trying to fight the brother, and like it felt like nothing happened. Or it just leads up to like the devil guy, like going all out, and like he's actually much stronger than the angels. Whoa, because he's a devil or whatever. I need these comedy shows to stop trying to become shonens halfway through, like Mashal, you know.
Mashal
You
is a
are
show.
better as a comedy.
Yeah.
Mashal works better as a comedy. This show works better as a rom-com.
I don't think Mashal's very
Stop trying to
funny,
become
but that's
shonens, please.
unrelated.
What'd you say, Chris?
I said I don't think Mashal's very funny, but I'm just getting a shot in for no reason. That's okay.
No, I think that's the only good thing about Mashal.
It definitely is. It did make me laugh sometimes.
Like, nothing else about
Anyway,
Mashal for
I have no
season.
comments. I didn't watch this show.
Yeah.
Y'all are good. Moving on.
Yeah, watch Has Been Hotel instead.
You know what? If you're a theater kid, watch Has Been Hotel.
Yeah.
I watched it with Ellie recently. It's not bad.
It's okay.
I thought it was going to be way
I also
worse.
watched it because you said it. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, we are not going to be talking about Hazbin Hotel in our anime podcast. Does that count? No Vivzy Pop promotion. Okay, we are moving into the Tim Power Hour. Woohoo!
Woo! These are all shows that only I have seen, and no one else here bothered watching them.
I think Juan watched one episode of Ishura.
He did. We talked about
just the one.
And I watched one episode of Mahou.
But we never uploaded the mid-season, so we can talk a little bit about it then.
Oh, we didn't, did we?
All right. We might butt in on the ones that we've watched one episode for, but otherwise, go Tim.
Sure. Let me.
Damn, that guy got Sora Kingdom Hearts hair. The black hair guy.
A black hair.
Oh, Dog Signal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the poster on Mal, but anyway.
All right, Dog Signals. NHK shows are always usually more like rich in its story and characters, and the show is no exception. We had like Doctor this season, we had like AO Orchestra last season, and then we have the like court politics one next season. They're all NHK, they stand out among like the traditional anime because they feel more character driven and plot, developed. This show was a really nice showcase of kind of like what it's like to own and train a dog. The hardship that it's not easy. The like expectations that we like to think we put onto dogs as far as how we think they behave and what we think of it, and like the joys that comes from finally making that nice your best friend keep you company. This was a really nice show. It had a lot of heart and moments. Even if you're not like a dog person, even if you like a cat or just if you just like pets or anything, just like having a pet that keeps you company, I think this one was a really kind of niche underground show that like really surprised me for sure. Next up, Himesama. The show went a lot harder than it really needed to with its production, and I appreciate that. It felt very reminiscent of Sleepy Girl and the Demon Castle, whatever that show, Oyasumi something. The story beat is rather repetitive, where it's like, oh, we're gonna torture you. I'm gonna like say refuse and hold out, and I give in like 2 seconds later. But like the real charm of the shows comes from the diverse cast that they bring in to keep the show really comedic and fresh, and like the genuine like friendship that develops through each of them. I really think this is a show that this group in particular would have really liked, and if there was one show I should tell you guys to go back and watch, it would probably be this one. Especially since I know how much you like the other one.
I don't know.
It's nothing. It's just a more like heartwarming comedic kind of show, and I don't think we really had that this season. And I think it would be kind of up your alleys.
Maybe, but I don't know. It just seemed like it would be repetitive.
I thought so too, because especially after the first episode, I was like, "Oh, this is really funny," but I don't know how much they're gonna do this whole like we're gonna throw food in front of you and you give in like right away gag. But they had a lot of different jokes about like that kept the show really fresh. And like I said, there was a whole like another driving force of the show is just like the bonds and friendship that she like makes with her like quote unquote captives among them. Ishura, I wasn't really sure what to think about Ishura initially because each episode was like it's focused on introducing a seemingly like random new character, and we didn't really know where the show was going. But like now that I'm like actually like done with the show, it actually did. I think I kind of liked how they did the show with each character introduction, because it was actually kind of slowly like drip feeding information about the world building, the world of the show, and the lore and the politics, without making it like a long like 30 minutes, exposition in a way that was like subtly giving information where towards the end it kind of all like connected and made sense, and when all these characters kind of came together and clash towards the end. I think a lot of people were turned off by the episodes, but I think it had some potential, and there's season 2 coming. I know Juan thought it was okay, but he didn't continue it.
Yeah, I just saw episode 1. And I'm like, this might be interesting enough to keep watching, and then I just never got around to it.
Yeah, that's fine. I know we were busy.
So, but like your overall, like, do you watch it or not?
I do think it's worth watching. Okay. Especially if you were like if you think episode 1 was interesting, then like episode 2 out of 5 was basically the exact same thing on different characters and their like overpowered cool abilities. You just had to pay attention to like the factions are on and the belief in like them talking about the world, because that does like come into play towards the end. Because at the end, all of these characters will like fight each other in like a grand like battle royale kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like how they did. I thought it was kind of interesting. What do I have, Lex?
Kyuujitsu. Yeah.
Kyuujitsu no Warumono-san.
Warumono-san. Generally a really like great, heartwarming, fun little community show that serves like a great like escapism for the day to chill. There are minor issues I have with it that kind of glossed over because it's focused more on like the comedic and feels than like the whole like Power Ranger fight evil villains things. I wish they would go a little bit more into like why a bunch of like 4-year-olds are like a Power Ranger and all that stuff, but I think that's me kind of being all nitty gritty about it. 7 Loop was a really the best quote unquote villain in the show, because I don't think she's actually a villain in this show. But it's really nice to see like a competent, well-written, like strong female character that's not like swooning over like the main guy that you would normally see in these shows. Riche is a fascinating character that relies on her past lives and experience to kind of try to slowly shift the course of history to avert like disaster and her dying. And it's nice, it's cool to see how she utilizes her like, you know, medical knowledge or her night knowledge to, or like her knowledge as a trader to kind of navigate the situation she's in. This one, generally, I think I enjoy a lot more than most people would. I know Chris is annoyed by the art style.
I didn't love the art style, yeah, but maybe you could get used to it.
I got used to it pretty quick. I think she's a very fun character to have and follow. I think the plot dragged on a little bit towards the end, but that's kind of just like maybe, you know, nitty gritty again. Mahou to Reijou, I was like borderline ready to be like, this is mid, forget about, move past the bin, because the first couple episodes were very boring. It was fun to just like, here's the paper cutter, like we find which evil or magic evil, we kill them, the end. But then towards I think the last like arc or two, it actually got like infinitely more interesting once we had more factions and backstory of these people come into, where people weren't just like 2-dimensional characters, and we got to like actually like get to know them.
Does the animation quality improve?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think animation. Well, I don't think animation was real. I think it was clunky in its storyboarding. Like, I think the fight was clunky. I don't think like the animation itself was necessarily that bad. I think the animation is fine for this one. Once you get to, I want to say Helga, and the backstory between like Gidu and how she and Ashraf met, it got like multitudes more fascinating. And they did the whole like Men in Black thing, where at the end of season 1 you're like, oh, we have a good grasp on this world and we know what's going on. And was it M? I don't forget the guy's name. He opens the door and he's like, oh, you have no idea, like we have so much more to explore. They kind of did that at the end of the season, which makes me much more interested in the world and other characters that they kind of just threw in the last seconds. I kind of just wish they just skipped the first 6 episodes and jump right into that, because I failed to see the purpose of the first 6 episodes, honestly.
That's a pretty high barrier, honestly, to get into, and I really didn't like the first episode, so I'm not really regretting my choice to not keep going with this show.
Yeah, and I don't blame you for dropping it. I think the first 6 episodes are incredibly dry and paper cut. Going to Nozomu Fushi Undead Adventurer anime. This one surprised me as like a more like traditional fantasy that doesn't have any like overpowered thing. It played a lot like you would like play like a video game where it's just a guy doing side quests that you would do in like a video game to go like, oh, let's go visit the church and help the sick nun and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like this like grand fantasy thing. It was more like it kind of felt like you're playing a game and the guy was like slowly leveling up, evolving as he, did his quests. It was surprisingly, fun and unexpected. And same thing with the Psycho Tamer anime too. It's another pure fantasy that doesn't lean into any kind of like power fantasy thing. It's about this like 6-year-old girl who's on the run because she has no powers, and it's her like slowly trying to find a place for herself, and everyone trying to kind of welcome her and teach her that she's not alone in the world. And it's kind of heartwarming that felt. Her only like main power is that she has a slime that can tell when people are like lying or bad, and it kind of comes in clutch. But she's not like overpowered, and I kind of appreciate these fantasy shows that actually don't rely on, oh, here's our only selling point is this guy's super overpowered, he can kill things. They go the different aspects of like, oh, here's just a classic video game thing. So here's like a girl meeting these people, learning more about the world and finding a place. This one in particular had like above average productions, which I think helped it as well. I think the mystery got a little bit boggled towards the end though, but I think the emotional payoffs for this one made it worth it.
All right.
All right.
That's the whole
the
Tim
Power
Power
Hour.
Hour.
Now we go to a more mid show. Juan, you want to tell us about Peach-chan?
Well, I don't know why I was assigned this one because I dropped this halfway through along with Chris.
Me and Juan dropped it. We were over halfway through. We made it to episode like 8 or something like that.
No, we made it to episode 6.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still have it in my folder.
I thought we were deeper.
Nope.
Either way, man, this was a great premise. It just stopped being good. They made a bunch of baffling decisions with the writing that didn't really make any fucking sense, and the show kind of lost the plot, and then it also became more of a generic isekai at times. Whenever he was in the actual isekai world, it was like the pacing just ground to a halt, and we have to go do this side plot that is just completely uncompelling, and there's a bunch of segments of people sitting on couches talking at each other and dumping exposition for like 5 minutes at a time. I think that's really what got us to drop it, was that episode.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to kill myself. I was like, oh my god, I don't care. Also, some of the other plot points were kind of starting to fray at the edges too, and it just, I don't know. We didn't really get what I was promised, which was a wacky show about this random dude running into all these different types of people, and I don't know. It's just
like, yeah, I fully agree with that. Like episode 1 had like a lot of promise. Like the show should succeed on all front. Like it's like an isekai magical girls psychic crossover kind of wacky premise. And I think if it stuck with the whole like wacky nature of the show, it would have been significantly better. But instead, it took itself way too seriously with how like insane of a plot it had, and it really suffered because of that. The show actually got crazy at the end because then there's like demons now at the end. But like I don't know how it's going to.
Excuse me, there's fucking demons now.
I can't be surprised by anything. I don't know. I wasn't. There was enough things putting me off by the time we dropped it. Like, I didn't really like the episode before. about where the plane crashed and that was just like fine. No one and tons of people died for no reason.
Plane crash.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they shoot
Oh,
out
with
a
the
plane.
fireball? Yeah,
Yeah,
the fireball, yeah.
And
Like,
it's just I don't know. It doesn't feel like the author is really thinking through the choices that are being made very well. It just I don't know. This one, unfortunately, has a bunch of what I would call light novel tendencies about how it structures its scenes and its dialogue, and I have a certain level of tolerance for that. But if there's too much of it back to back, like there is in the episodes we watched, I can't handle it anymore. This one was disappointing. I had higher hopes, but oh well.
mm-hmm. The show sounds like an entry to a bar joke where you're like, oh, psychic isekai and think walk into a bar, yada yada.
Yeah.
And like the first episode had potential, and we knew from the get go that it was going to be 2 cores. So I thought they had a lot of hope into it. Also, the inside gag where they like had all the characters, all the people voicing characters in the show named Sasaki. I thought that was like a good indication of like the humor and the self-awareness that the show was heading towards, and then it kind of just disappeared as soon as they entered, like especially when they entered the isekai realm. It kind of just turned really like political, and that's all it was. And
I want to
really just feels
point
like
out they went into
premise.
the intricacies of the world building in this extremely generic isekai world that he's into that I just cannot stress enough. No one fucking cares. I don't know why the author thinks we need to spend that much time learning about the world, the isekai world where the main character is going and selling Legos in or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that as a bit is fine. Like, oh, he's going and selling human, like, real world items to them. Why do we need to spend 3 episodes fucking learning about the war that's brewing between the kingdom? Like, who cares, bro? I don't know, man.
Yeah, just a huge waste of potential, honestly.
It's kind of a theme for this season, I'm noticing, is wasted potential. It's unfortunate.
Only 3 out of 22.
Yeah.
It's not a bad
Yeah.
right? So we had a lot of surprise shows as well.
Yeah, it's
which
true.
we'll get to
Soon
pretty
enough.
shortly.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll move on. Don't watch this one. I can't recommend it. All right, Logan. I don't know if you're still here. Maybe he fell asleep. Maybe he went for a walk or something. I don't know. Is he still in the call? Let's find out.
I am technically still alive.
Would you like to tell us about the Sengoku Yoko?
I had to make sure I stayed alive to tell you that the Sengoku Yoko adaptation is pretty good, which is so much better than I was afraid of, even like an episode or 2 into knowing that it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So like I said in the pre-show, I think that this covers narratively kind of the weakest material of Sengoku Yoko, and I was a little coy about it, but it's kind of the whole season that is gonna be weaker than the rest of it, so like I said, it was the weakest narrative material, but I still think it was good enough to kind of get me through it, especially as it starts kind of picking up in the back half. I think that once the big scene in the Rock Canyon happens and Shinsuke kind of becomes Shinsuke Dark, I think that things kind of pick up a lot. But honestly, I'm more interested in hearing you guys' thoughts, because my only thoughts on this were it's an adaptation of a manga I really like, and it didn't look like it was going to give me a disease. So that's all I really have to say about it.
I was really worried for the first, like we said, before the Rock Canyon, before the punished Shinsuke arc or whatever. I was really worried that a Mizukami work was like not clicking with me, and that was not a fun experience, because I was like, man, I really like his other stuff. I wonder if it's like the adaptation, like what's going on. But it really is just that it's a little slow. Like there were good parts that I liked. I like some of the characters. I like Shakugan. That was her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shakugan.
Yeah.
I think the Shakukan death was when the show really like.
Yeah, I was trying to dance around that, but whatever. It's a spoiler.
Yeah.
The review episode.
We've said so many spoilers in this podcast already.
Yeah, but like,
that's what makes him punished, and I agree. That episode was fantastic, and I think really it was a huge shot in the arm. And then literally the rest of the season after that was pretty much gas. Like even the training arc episode was really cool, and
and that's because the Mountain Goddess is such a fun character.
Peak, yeah.
She's so funny.
The Mountain Goddess is peak.
Unintentional humor. Anyway, like I said, it kind of rides this high that just keeps building for the rest of the season, and you know,
I've got
I
good
found
news,
that
Christopher.
Mizukami
It's
sauce.
going to be a high that is building for the rest of the series.
That's exciting to hear, seriously. But yeah, I thought that, and like it is genuinely really nice to see after Biscuit Hammer to see a Mizukami. Like the animation in the back half is really good. They did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
It holds up. The action's really good. White Fox knows what they're doing. The character writing is of course great because it's Mizukami.
Naturally.
But yeah, the main thing is that me and Juan got tricked. We thought this is what the show is going to be about, and it was all a prologue, and so
surprise. I had to stay quiet about that for the whole season. I was like, they can't know that this is just part one.
That is crazy to think about.
No, but like this does feel better than Solo Leveling, because like at least like with this, like it got good like by like episode 6, and like it just kept building up on that. While with Solo Leveling, like the whole season 1 felt like a prologue, and it didn't get good until like the last 2 episodes.
So yeah, I would say that if you're not vibing with it, try to at least get to that point where we were talking about, and if you still don't like it, then maybe I don't know, read the manga. But
yeah.
I think
and
it's
I
worth
really
sticking
hate
with.
to do that.
Yeah, I hate to have that. It's hard. That's always hard to recommend shows. This score on Mal here, the 701, I think is criminally low. I think this should be way higher.
It should be at 7.5
at least.
It was because I think the first 6 episodes were the prologue, and it was bad from the get go. It wasn't like it dropped like towards the end.
I don't necessarily agree. You mean the score?
I mean the score. Yeah,
that's just I don't trust.
So
I don't trust the general Mal audience.
I think the first 6 episodes really like hurt people, and they like checked out really early, and that's why the score is so low.
Yeah.
They didn't.
I'm sure the season 2 score will be way higher just because of the sequel effect.
Oh yeah, of course. Season 2 would be like an 8.
How did you find the show, Tim? I feel like we haven't heard from you.
I think I was kind of with you in the same camp where like I wasn't really vibing with the show initially until the Shakugan scene, and that's when the show really kicked off for me. I think I appreciate that the training was only like half an episode or something, and they didn't do like, oh, here's like a 12-minute training epilogue scenes in between this big fight you have, like most like shows do. I'm very interested in where it's going. I'm not sure how I feel about the whole what's the guy's name?
Senya?
The
Jinka
guy.
Oh, or Senya, the dragon boy.
Not Senya, the old man.
The giraffe.
Yeah.
Yazen.
Yazen, yeah.
Yazen and the chick's mom. That whole romance thing, and where like that plot's heading into. That kind of felt a little bit off left field. I feel like you probably could have mentioned that a little bit earlier, that it was her mom.
I think it works as a pretty funny
all into
reveal.
yokai.
Yeah.
But
I get for comedic big, but I feel like the plot significance kind of outweighs the comedic timing of it. There's obviously a lot going on, especially with Senya, because I know he's a big focus of the next arc.
Yeah.
I'm a little. The show like escalated so much in the last like 3 episodes that I don't really know where the show's going from here.
That's not a bad thing at all, though.
No, I am very like interested in seeing the rest of this season. I just don't know how to feel about it right now in this current state, because
it is a little difficult to rate holistically, but I think it's just it's a good solid intro that really gets you excited for more. I am very tempted to read the manga, but I'm gonna wait because we're just taking a season break or whatever.
2 seasons.
What I'm counting, the season has already started. Like it's gonna come back in the fall, so it's not that long. We'll make it.
I just can't get over the fact
it comes
that, like,
back in July, isn't it?
No, it's the fall.
Yeah,
it's
July.
July.
Like September.
It's July.
It's July?
It's July.
Then I guess it's just the 1 season break.
Oh, it totally is summer. Never mind. I'm smoking crack.
Cool.
I swear I saw it was fall when we looked at it the other day. But
Yeah.
Yay, I get it even sooner.
Yeah, that's actually great. Just a
Nice,
core
so
break then.
Then we get to hold off on reading the manga. What I was about to say is that, like, I can't get over the fact that me and Chris were like, wow, this show's like really ramping up. Like, it feels like it's gonna end already. That's crazy. And then the end of episode 12 was like, to be continued in part 2. And we're like, Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Claire and I were eating that up in DMs. A friend of mine who's also read the manga, we were just constantly like, oh, they think this is super important. It's going to be that kind of thing.
It was originally supposed to be 37 continual
Yeah,
episodes.
36 episodes.
I'm
yeah.
actually totally okay with them taking a break here. I think.
I think I'm okay.
yeah.
But like, it was never. I never thought it was going to be the end after the season.
Well, yeah, of course not.
Like,
Well, like it was just like it felt weird that like we were like wrapping up so many storylines all at once.
It felt strange that they were fighting who would. It seems like the final boss fight in episode 12 of a 3-core show or whatever. But yeah, and we realized it's because we got tricked. Anyway,
yeah.
Shout outs.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say shout outs Mizukami. He doesn't make bad stuff, but go ahead.
Exactly. One last thing I want to say is that I think part of the reason that this is going to like really pick up is that I think Shinsuke is a great character, but he's not necessarily the best protagonist, and he kind of was the protagonist for the first 12 bits. I think that Senya is a really good protagonist, and I'm excited to see his story next actually get animated in good quality.
I swear to God, if there's a part 3, I'm gonna be a little mad.
I mean, it's 3 cores.
there's
It
a
is 3
chance.
cores, yes. Well, like
There's a chance it's 3.
Who knows?
3 parts,
Okay.
Nobody knows.
I mean, debatable.
except for you and Claire. Apparently.
Nobody
okay.
knows.
Moving on, we can talk about Shangri-La Frontier, which is now concluded. Anyone want to go first? Take the first swing at this one.
Sure. So the main thing I want to say about Shangri-La Frontier is that unlike a lot of other like it's a video game anime type things, this felt fun in the way that video games were fun. Like watching them like devise the strategy to beat Weathermon and kind of deal with what is a very video gamey fight that has like 3 phases and things like that. I thought that was like super compelling television. In a way that, you know, I maxed out my stats because I killed the dragon by accident and now I live a slow life inside my little sister or whatever is not.
Yeah, I agree.
You did not come up with that off the top of your head.
I think he did.
That was 100% off the dome. One.
I think because he ended it inside my little sister. That's how you can tell. Bowser's inside my little sister story.
Hey, yo.
Anyway, I agree. I think we talked about this early on too. Is why it's so good is because Shangri-La Frontier, the MMO, just seems like the greatest video game of all time. Like even full dive elements aside, like just from a game design perspective, it seems to be this incredibly rich, well-made video game that is extremely rewarding to play. And the fact that you can convey that without it like the actual like physical feeling of, you know, playing a video game. You know, you're watching an anime, not playing a game, but you still get that same sensation watching Sunraku go through everything. I just think that is so cool. It's a neat trick that I really haven't ever seen in a show before, even though the anime about video games or at least video game mechanics are pretty popular right now. So I think that despite Sunraku being the main character and he's clearly getting special treatment from the narrative because he's got this like custom like side story thing going on with the rabbits that literally only he is experiencing, it all feels earned. Like it all made sense in the narrative why it happened to him.
Yeah, like it feels like Sunraku kind of got rewarded by the game for going out of his way to do, you know, unique things in the game that people might not normally do. Yeah. It doesn't feel like, oh, and then a goddess, you know, whatever isekai tropes.
Sunraku. Oh, go ahead.
I think that very first encounter with Ligon.
Yeah, that was
little,
random.
Like, felt a little like convenient and not
it is.
Really
It definitely is, but I can get like it's a narrative, you know.
Everything after that, I would agree was
it helps that Sunraku is a very specific type of guy, and like he's very consistent. That is also what I think the bulk of the fun is that is like I'm sure if you play games like competitive games, you've met a guy like this, and like the like Sunraku feels like a gamer. He just does, and like he's sweaty and a little neurotic and sarcastic, and I think his friendship with the two other main characters is great too. It really does feel like you're fucking booting up League and talking shit on the Rift or whatever. It's good stuff.
You guys are very much like hotter on this than I am. No, not to say that like I did not enjoy this. This was still a very fun show. Like it is great to see like an actual like gamer show for gamers, you know. But like the show reaches its peak with the what's his name, the boss,
yeah.
right? Weathermon. I was gonna say a Warmon, but that's a fucking Digimon.
Yeah, we're getting close.
But like it reaches the peak with the Weathermon arc, and then like there's like 4 or 5 more episodes after that, and I'm like,
okay. I am going to say that I think it is fair to levy the criticism that they blew their load with the Weathermon fight, and then the show went on too long, and that if they had structured because it's an adaptation of a manga, right? And if they had structured it where the Weathermon fight maybe had like one extra episode for wrap up after, and that was the end of the season, it would have been way better. But because I know it's an adaptation of something ongoing, I'm a little less picky about where they choose to end it.
I'm also a lot less picky because they announced season 2 like immediately
so
after
we know
they
we're
finished
getting
season
more.
1. So like they planned to lead into the next season.
The like last 4 episodes are a little bit more standard boilerplate, and I wouldn't say any of them are like particularly great. They're fine in the same way that the rest of the show is fine, but it doesn't necessarily beat the hype and build up of them prepping for Weathermon. And then what I would say like probably end of year awards list eligible fight with Weathermon, which has got to be one of the best 3 episode or 4 how many episodes runs of anime I've seen in a while. I fucking loved the Weathermon fight. I could sing its praises.
That one whole fight?
Well, no. I mean, I would say the main fight at the very end is the one part you would do. Although the 2 girls fighting the horse was really good too. So I don't know.
What a thing to say out of context. The 2 girls fighting the horse.
Wait, the 2 girls?
Well, one of them's a guy. I'm talking about his companions. I just don't remember their names. Fucking the purple and the blonde. Pencilgon and the other guy whose name...
I can't remember the other guy's name.
Oikatsu.
Oikatsu?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, I thought those episodes were exceptional. Just visually incredible.
I cannot emphasize enough how much fun the Weathermon arc was. But like, what I was trying to say is that like the last 4 or 5 episodes, it feels like it's just like a training arc essentially, and like the NPC bunnies are nowhere near as fun as the human companions.
I like Emil. I think that Emil could have been a much more annoying and worse character, and I think that she is not is a great achievement for animal NPC characters across.
Yeah, she's not annoying, but like I don't like she's just not as fun as the human characters. You know?
I agree. I think she makes for a great companion though for the main part of the show.
For the macro plot.
I love the dad, the Aniki dad, gang boss rabbit.
Hey,
he's the best.
I gotta say that he was a bad one. Yeah. That motherfucker's hot. Holy shit! And I'm not a furry. Anyway. But like, I think it would have been like better if like instead of like adapting just like the training arc, like I think it would have been better to like I don't know, actually make filler and like have them like hang out in real life. And like,
I would like a little bit more real life, just a little bit, not too much.
I would really want to see them meet real life.
I think they should have an
They keep like teasing in the last episode. They're like, hey, we should hang out in real life.
I think it'll happen.
I'm
he's
okay.
like, nah, I'm gonna keep training.
I'm okay if we have these 4 slow episodes now, rather than have 4 slow episodes at the start of season 2.
That's a great point. You know? If it's better at the beginning,
eventually it's going to happen. So it's better to just get it now till we have more content season 2.
Yeah, I agree.
I get it. Yeah.
Anyway, I really can't sing the show's praises enough. It really surprised me how much I personally liked it because I really didn't expect for this genre. But it is just so you can tell the dev plays a lot of games, but it also not the dev. I said the dev. That's so fucking funny. The author of the manga plays a lot of the game. Plays a lot of games, but like understands game development in a really cool way. Just because all the shit is like incredibly well thought out. It just makes sense, and it is cool and rewarding to watch the whole time, basically.
Like I said, this is very much a gamer show for gamers.
There's real stakes too, which you would think like in a game where you can die and respawn. Like there's rules and everything, but like Pencilgon has to like basically waste the wealth of multiple small nations that she's amassed for being like a top level pro player in the game just to win the fight or whatever. Like she lost a bunch of shit. And that's because she was just down bad for the fucking ghost NPC. And there's lots of small touches like that. I think they're doing a good job of like giving us these like narrative nuggets and like there is some central mysteries that are very compelling too. So I don't know. It's been fun.
I mean, like the whole fact that like the weatherman arc, like it was apparently like it wasn't intended to be beaten that early in the
they
game's
beat late game
lifespan.
content. Yeah, they beat way late game content.
And like I like that whole scene where the like the developers are like
devs are
panicking, like,
freaking
oh
out.
shit, the gamers are advancing too fast. We gotta slow
Some
them down.
fucking maniacs did like perfectly engineered the way to win the fight that wasn't supposed to be doable. It's just cool. All
It's
right,
really funny.
we've been gassing it up. I love this show. This is one of my favorites of the season.
Yeah,
Hold on,
highly
hold on,
recommend
hold on. I have
Shangri-La
one last-
Frontier. Better than Sword Art Online could ever be.
Yeah, seriously, if you like Sword, oh, go ahead, Logan.
No, go ahead.
I was just
You're
gonna say,
kinda
if you
wrapping up,
like
but I have
Sword
one
Art
last thing to say.
Online, watch this, and then maybe you can get over that horrible disease of liking Sword Art Online.
So all I wanted to say is that this achieved a very Herculean feat because it is an anime about not one but two video games that I would like to play because the super buggy fighting game
yeah,
that they
that
go
dude.
We
into
didn't
every
even
once
talk
in a
about
while
that.
looks
Holy
so
shit.
fun.
I want to play that game. That looks
I just
insane.
wanted to say that. That's all.
I mean, they
had
also
to add.
like hopped into like the night war game.
Yeah.
That was also like PvP. I think that was also really cool. I hope they introduce like other games that they like hang out into.
I think they do, based on what I heard the twins talking about.
That's fun.
more.
It's just
violence.
there's lots of little details like that I think add to just how rich and compelling the world is. All right, small indie hit anime that no one's heard of next. Who wants to
boy.
start? Who wants to break the ice?
All right. So no Frieren. Now, if you've been watching our content over the past couple months, you know that me and Chris have been very, very hyperbolic about this show. I mean, like for me personally, the second half of the show, it starts to like slow down with the mage exam arc, and like I was a little worried with the mage exam because like it kind of defeats like the whole purpose of them exploring the world,
Yeah.
and like it just slows down to them, doing essentially a tournament arc, and like I was a little worried at first, but then like after the first round, and like they were exploring the second round of like the dungeon, that's when it started picking up again. Like I guess like it was just the
I don't agree
introducing
at all. I
all the
think
characters.
I don't agree at all. I think the entire mage arc is great, but that's maybe nitpicking a little.
And yeah, like because like the first round of the major exam arc is just like introducing a shit ton of characters, like
it is,
all
but
at once.
I think they do a pretty fucking phenomenal job of characterizing this huge new cast of characters. Many of the characters who are great, by the way. And I think the first round does a good job of like giving you this initial context for what they're all like they feel like, and then as the round goes on, they subvert expectations of what the characters are actually like, and you learn more about them, and especially because the next one is more of a cooperative test than the first one, which is like a 3v3 v3 or whatever. Once they're not necessarily pitted against each other, you realize that none of them are necessarily the bad guy, and they're actually all compelling in their own way, and you end up getting to know a lot of the characters. I think it's brilliant. I could keep gushing. I like the whole arc a lot. I was worried that it was going to be a little bit slower, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
why would I ever doubt Frieren? My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like,
Sorry,
I'm like,
boss.
once the near the end of the first round of the mage exam, I'm like, never mind. I should have let Frieren cook.
Yeah.
And goddamn, that it delivered by the end of it. God, I love Frieren so much. It very much has its own like formula. Like it like they go to a new place, a conflict is brought up within that place. Frieren remembers something from the past, and she implements what she learned from the past into the new situation, and then they move on. And yet it's so simple, and it's so effective. Like I love that formula, and I want to watch more. I'm so upset that it's over. I want to keep watching more Frieren.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get more. Which is honestly a miracle. The fact that there will probably be more Frieren is a really truly beautiful thing, because I think what we got was good enough on its own as like this monumental like peak of its genre generational anime that is now sitting at #1 on Mal. But the fact that we get a season 2 and it could even be better, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. But very exciting.
This is very much like a classic in the making.
I think it has already achieved that status, and maybe that's being slightly hyperbolic, but at least for me, it is cemented itself among like the greatest of all time contenders. Like people are like, oh, does it even deserve the number one? And I'm like, yeah, it can hang out there. That's fine. Sorry, FMA. It's time for new blood to sit in, and I think that it has earned it. I think it's on the level of the greats, like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and whatever else is up there. I don't know. It's phenomenal. It's got one of it does a bunch of things individually very well, and the fact that a show can do all of those at the same time is pretty it has got an incredibly well thought out, well plotted world with meticulous world building, a cool magic system, like all the things that you'd want out of a fantasy anime. It's also the best looking show that we've watched this whole season. It's got Madhouse team, fucking phenomenal Sakuga visuals, some of the best fights too. It's got an incredible soundtrack by Evan Call.
Which, yeah, he's now on my radar now.
Yeah.
Like he's up there with the.
Was he not on your radar before?
I feel like
I never heard of him before.
There's no way.
Frieren.
Did you never listen to the Violet? The Violet OST.
Oh, he did the Violet OST?
Yeah, he's pretty famous.
And then he did what's that racing anime that you guys watched? Racing Across America.
Oh my god! Fucking I've not thought about that show forever.
Apare Ranman.
Dude, I love Ranman. Did he do that one? That's cool.
He did.
That's a banger OST. Anyway,
I love all his OSTs.
Also, I'm back to my list of things that it does well. It also just has like the best fucking character writing and dialogue and any show I've seen in a long time. It really, bar for bar across the board, just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah. You love Frieren, you love Stark, you love Fern. Like, I think it's kind of funny how like we've this entire podcast, like we've been like having trouble remembering the names of all the other characters, but like all the Frieren characters, I can name them all off.
Because they're my homies. Yeah, exactly.
I grew up with them. I've seen Fern grow from a little child to a beautiful teenage lady.
It's just I don't know. Well, I should let someone else tag in if anyone.
Yeah, someone else that's not a dick writer.
I think both of them like.
I think
it
we're
too.
all dick writers.
No, this is what's it called, a classic Chainsaw Man situation where I really like something. I also don't like it nearly as much as you guys because
that's crazy. What's wrong with
you?
Look,
it was good.
This is way better. I don't want to be.
It was
mean.
good.
I don't want to be mean to Chainsaw Man, but at least if we're comparing the animes, this is way better than the than Chainsaw
I also
Man.
Totally agree that this is better than Chainsaw Man. But
I can't.
Yeah,
I have to wait on the rest of it to compare to the whole manga.
I really liked the beginning. Like I really, really, really liked those first couple episodes. And then I really liked the stuff that's in the midsection. And I also really, really liked. Yeah, the fights were good and stuff like that.
Is that the midsection you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean the
Okay.
midsection of the show.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the stuff that's kind of in between the middle, the beginning, and the middle. And that kind of includes the mage arc. There was some really good high spots in that. I was not as high on it as you guys were, but I still liked it overall. But I also really, really, really liked that one episode that was just kind of the elf girl dressing down all of the people who would pass the second stage of the test.
Oh, that was the last episode.
It was the last episode, but yeah.
Oh, that was I couldn't remember if it was the last or second to last. But that was
it like kind of
good.
It started with the second to last, and then like kind of bled into the last episode.
But that's just kind of how I feel about Frieren, is that it's really, really, really good sometimes, and it's mostly just really good the rest of the time. And that's better than a lot of anime, but that's, I don't know, not the greatest anime of all time.
Debatable.
Up to you.
I'm gonna hold on like saying anything truly hyperbolic and like, you know, save it for the year-end list. Like, there's a lot of extremely good shows already this year. Like, we have Kusuriya, we have fucking the Dungeon Meshi's airing right now. Like, there's plenty of excellent shows to compete against it. So, you know, we'll save it for the end and see how it all ranks up. But
oh wait, I want to hear from Tim.
Oh yeah, do you have?
I am thoroughly very impressed with the show on all aspect of the level. I think the show's nuances in the messages it tries to tell you indirectly is really beautiful, with like, especially in the first couple, like first 4 or 5 episodes, with like the flowers and the sunrise and all that. I think there's a lot of emotional like messages it tells you, and I think I really appreciate all that. Also really impressed how like adaptive this show is. Like, it's able to be this like very like slow burn emotional kind of trail, journey, but also is able to also pop off with its action. And do a giant tournament arc and have it all still feel very like natural and flows. It feels if like it fits right in the show.
Yeah,
it's not
phenomenal pacing throughout.
Fucking
Excellent.
like Oroka, where it's like a rom-com, then it's just action. You're like, how the fuck did this happen? It makes no sense. Frieren's able to really combine all these different kind of extremes of genres and make it.
It's very funny
connected
too.
flow.
Like, it has great.
And also,
comedy,
it is quite funny. I think Stock is a hilarious character. I do
Frieren
really love all
herself.
the chemistries too.
Yeah.
Like the chemistry between Frieren and Fern and Stark are all really great. I think all the characters are really like one level. I think the weakest character is maybe the priest, and that's only because we only got him for like 2 episodes.
I was gonna say, even though he only was
go.
in 2 episodes or so, we're talking about Sane. I really liked our time with him. I thought he was a really great, compelling character.
I really liked him. It just felt kind of weird to have him appear and leave, but
I'm
maybe
sure
that
he'll
was
come
like
back,
maybe that's the
but-
message where like
Friends come and go.
short-lived.
Yeah, that is kind of a
encounters are
theme.
short-lived.
Yeah.
And to appreciate them, like I think this anime is really nice, that you can kind of get a nice message out of it, of anything,
Like
on
every
the show.
single episode.
Yeah.
And it makes it feel like it's intentional. Like maybe Sign wasn't, maybe that is the message about Sign, and maybe it wasn't. But like the show built so many subliminal messages that it would not surprise me if like all of them were true at the same time, And I really like the journey that they took us on, for sure. It's definitely one of my favorites of this year.
What I'm about to say might sound a little hyperbolic, but let me cook a little bit here. There's a lot of people online that say like, "Oh, this show's overrated. Like it's not that good. Like the action's like whatever. Like it's boring to get through." If you think this show is boring now, I get it. Like it is slow, but like I just don't think you're emotionally ready to accept this show yet.
I think that's a little nicer than I would have put it. I think that if you don't have the attention span to get through the first 4 episodes of this show, which are beautiful and make honestly by itself a really compelling movie, I think I think that the first 4 episodes kind of functions as this, like, it's the intro. It goes over the history of Frieren and the Heroes Party with Himmel, and how she's been since then. I think it's this really beautiful, moving, like, film essentially. And if you can't get through that and like appreciate what the show is trying to do with the writing, and like it's still beautiful and there's still plenty of shit that happens during it, then I agree. I don't think that maybe put this one on the shelf until you're tall enough to reach it, big boy, and go back to Demon Slayer or whatever.
That's being what I was gonna say. Like I was gonna say, like, if you don't like it at the moment, come back to it later in life
when you're older.
Enjoy the message once you're older.
I don't know. I say that, but there's probably plenty of shonen fans that will never develop the frontal cortex and able to appreciate it.
Yeah,
truly intellectual anime like Frieren. Frieren's not even that intellectual.
It's not.
It's really not. I think I would actually say that Frieren is maybe one of the most approachable anime of all time. Like, show it to your mom or something. I bet she'd like it. It's great. I think anyone could find meaning and beauty in this.
Man, like I remember, like I was almost gonna cry from the first episode.
Yeah,
like,
the first episode. There's plenty of moments like that throughout the series too.
There was a moment in like episode like 14. It was such a small moment.
Yeah,
and it made me cry. I'm like, what the fuck?
It's so compelling. We could probably gush about Frieren forever, at least me and Ryan.
we could make the whole podcast about Frieren instead.
I'm glad we finally get to talk about it, just because we had to wait so long since it was a 2-core.
2-core.
And it was pretty much immediately a banger, but hey, as it turns out, it's still a banger. This is basically, I think this is now the gold standard to compare, at least for the rest of this year, and maybe moving forward for fantasy anime, which is maybe not a good thing for fantasy anime, especially since there's so much of it that is coming out still. But the good news is that it clearly fantasy anime is still capable of being great because Dungeon Meshing is airing right now and it's phenomenal. So, anyway, tune in for our thoughts on that. That'll be the spring, the spring review.
The spring review.
Yeah. So, I think we'll put Frieren back now. We had our fun.
Oh, it's 3 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's.
But anyway, if you're for somehow are watching our anime podcast and have not watched Frieren, watch Frieren.
Yeah, well, watch Frieren.
I literally think everyone should watch this show. It's that good.
Yeah, everyone should be watching the show. Literally everyone.
Okay.
All right, moving on. We now go into Yubisaki to Renren, or A Sign of Affection. This was a great romance that lived up to my expectations. Like it's nice to like see like a college romance be done like really well. My only complaint is that they set up the childhood best friend character to be like a love rival, but
he sucks.
He literally has zero chance with the main girl. Like, they just made him. They made it so clear that he's just too abrasive as a kid to like even stand a chance now, and like he's still like pretty abrasive.
Incredibly.
They're trying to like make him like a tsundere, but like I don't know, man. He just comes off more of a dick than tsundere.
I mean, I think that's what real life tsunderes are kind of like, though. Yeah. No one actually sees like a tsundere in anime. It's like, oh yeah, I see that in real life all the time. Yeah. Real life tsunderes are actually just dicks.
Yeah, they're just bad people. Who knew?
Yeah. But no, like this was like a very like well-paced romance. Like I think they like officially get together by like episode 4 or 5, so like pretty soon.
Yeah, they get together way early,
and then like they have like their first kiss by like episode 7. I'm like, whoa! And like
I think it was earlier than that. It was like 6 or something.
Yeah, might have been episode 6,
5 or 6,
and
like right after they date.
It's so nice. It's so nice to see like an actual like competent romance, and like there's like even like the side plots that like are really interesting with the best friends, like the 2 best friends of the main characters, like slowly trying to like figure out each other's feelings, and then the best friend, like the high school best friend of the main guy, like trying to get with the other girl. Man, I do not remember these characters' names at all.
That's okay. They're not Frieren characters.
Yeah, they're not Frieren characters. Their plots are also very, very interesting. Like, this is a very good romance. I highly, highly recommend anyone that's into romance shows to watch the show. Like,
I think Chris missed out watching
I think I might give it another shot. I don't know. I don't want to go into my hater mode. I think there's nothing wrong with the show. It's totally fine. I believe wholeheartedly that it was good. I don't know. There's something about it.
They made a whole episode of them going to Costco very compelling.
Oh, dude. That's actually kind of pog.
Oh, when he called out her name. I loved it. Okay.
It was very good.
I think the show, I thought y'all were going to talk about it. I think the show's representation for deaf people and like hard of hearing people is fucking excellent. And I think the attention to detail that they do in like showing how she perceives the world and how the focus on like reading lips and all that. It's really, I am very, my wife uses a wheelchair. So I am pretty plugged into like accessibility now as an adult. And it's something I pay attention to a lot. And I love it when shows recognize that. I think it's really cool for that.
Oh, absolutely.
I put it up during the preview that I really appreciated how they like, and fully embrace her disability without like traumatizing it.
Yeah, by making it like this whole thing.
Making abuse of it. Making it the main focus. It's just like it's part of her life, and it's it's just how a part of what she lives with. This is a really, really sweet romance. It's kind of refreshing to see an adult romance and to have it be clear of any of those like high school cliches, misunderstanding, nonsense stuff. It was really cute. I mentioned in the preview that like I really love the facial expressions they do, and it was cute all throughout. It was there. It was nice. The couples got it together really nicely. I think if I was going to complain anywhere, I think it was with the childhood friends and the Emma I think like the quote unquote like other love interests who actually were never really love interests were kind of like getting in the way of the romance a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think it ever like escalated to a point where it went too far. And I kind of like how they started developing their own romance side plots on the side as soon as like, you know, the main two got together. It was just generally just a really wholesome kind of like sweet little like anime together of this two. I don't really know what else to say about it other than it's very sweet, and it's a setting and premise that takes full advantage of its setting and its premise of being deaf and being more adult and college like, and it uses those to definitely stand out above the other like romance shows. I actually think I don't know, it's hard to compare this and Boku Yaiba just because
they're very
they're
different.
two very different shows.
Yeah, one's a
But
middle school romance and one's the college romance.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely think I would recommend this one more just because it is like the college adult romance and you don't see that a lot often. I think Boku Yaiba stands out more just because it's a very refreshing, competent take of a very like
Overdone, yeah.
oversaturated genre.
It's the best in its genre
And-
that I've seen in a really long time, for sure.
And this one does something fresh and does it really well. And it's more of an adult romance, especially as we are more like adults as well.
Mhm.
I'm tending more towards these kind of romances.
Yeah, for sure.
Than like, oh, I'm a middle school. I don't know what it's like to date someone. Oh, how should I ask her out? You know, it's just like,
I mean, like, to be fair, this is also like the main girl's like very first romance as well. So
Mhm.
like she's also like new to dating as well.
Yeah.
But like the guy is not. He's dated around.
but
All right.
you
and,
don't
like-
get those like, you know, cliches high school. You know, those
Yeah.
things that like are in every single rom-com high school elements.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
she's new to romance, but they quickly like, you know, take it in a different direction than all the other like normal romance shows.
Yeah, like it's very much like him like showing her the ropes of like how to do things.
Mhm.
And
And
it's
they're
nice.
very, very cute and sweet together.
Absolutely.
Like every single episode,
It's
just
a
like,
very believable romance, and
Mhm.
I like it a lot. Especially the episode like when it explains like how he got interested in traveling. Like that was a very good episode. I like that one a lot.
that's a good one. Also, when he's talking about like why he likes it so much,
Yeah.
that's
I
even
love
like
these-
the Costco episode. Like, what about the Costco randomly? I was like, oh yeah, it was just Costco. But then I remembered it was like a really sweet moment when he like calls out to her,
Yeah.
and they were like, oh, he like talks, he says your name like way differently than like he says everyone else's names and stuff like that. It was just like,
It's very sweet.
oh,
All right. Fuck all that shit. The actual best romance of the year. Yuki Bakahatsu Bang Bravern, or Brave Bang Bravern.
man, am I glad I made you guys watch this?
Yeah, I
show.
cannot.
It's so funny
I'm
how this
so
was
sad.
not on our radar.
I'm so. I
until
would
the
have. I
mid-season.
cannot believe there was a universe in which I didn't watch this show. Oh, thank God.
This is why I watch everything. It's for shows like
yeah,
this
to
where,
really
like,
pick up.
It's so underneath the radar, and that's just a hidden gem. So much fun.
This show's a fucking blast. I can genuinely recommend this to anyone who likes mecha or just like over the top campy ridiculous shit, because it is insane. How are we gonna do this? Should we make Logan deafen if we're gonna talk about spoilers? I don't know.
I mean, like, I
we're
think
gonna
we should
watch
just
it?
tiptoe around the spoiler.
We should. No,
Logan
Logan-
did not watch it.
We've told him. We've told him
What
plenty that he
What
needs
if we
to
just
go.
kick him out?
No.
and bring him back?
No. It's fine. Anyway, I will
I
say
don't
I think we can
about him.
avoid doing
I can
spoilers.
deafen,
No.
it's
I think we
fine.
can avoid doing spoilers just because I think it would be better for anyone that's listening that hasn't seen this. There is a twist in this show in the back
are
half.
two
There's
big
two.
twists.
There's two
Two
big
big
ones.
twists.
But that are both some of the best and most hype twists I've seen in an anime in a long time. It really came out of left field, but it also makes so much fucking sense when you finally figure out like all what has been happening, and you're like, oh my God. And it recontextualizes a lot of it too. I wouldn't mind rewatching the beginning for that reason. I think it would be fun. But this is got a great cast of characters. I love basically everyone here. It is ridiculously homoerotic and over the top, and it's doing it on purpose, which is great. There's a lot of jokes, a lot of dick jokes, honestly, but
A lot of dick
it's
jokes.
so fucking funny. It's very mature. It's like adult. They say fucking stuff. I don't know but that is refreshing. But I guess they're American, or some of them are. It's a good sexy time about a man and a robot and their blossoming romance between a Gundam and its pilot or whatever.
You have to come inside of me.
It's so much and it's so over the top, but it is hilarious the whole way through, and actually has a pretty like compelling narrative going on as well, despite all of the silly shit.
Man, I'm so glad that we watched this show.
Ridiculous nature of it is like everything that I want from original, like the freedom to go as crazy like, as this show did, is what every original show should strive to be.
I agree.
I had so much fun watching this episode. From like episode 1 to like, I knew immediately that this was gonna be something special. As soon as the music started blaring, the opening started blaring inside of him, and he was like losing his like goddamn mind about it. I was like,
once Bravern shows up in episode 1, it's such a huge pivot in tone, because before that it's an extremely serious military drama.
God, I wish we released the mid-season, because I remember I was telling you guys that it's like the first half is this like Pacific Rim, like very grim alien invasion thing. Like
everyone's dying. And then, like, oh no.
It's so dark, and then suddenly it becomes this like tokusatsu like mecha show of it's such a wild,
and all of it again
shift.
All of it reconnects and makes sense by the end in a very cool and unique way. It is all justified within the fiction of the narrative, and it's like it wraps up quite nicely. I will say the end is a little bit like,
it's not perfect.
The end is a little silly.
Enough way it's acceptable. It's an acceptable ending.
Everything gets tied up pretty nicely, which is a little bit unrealistic, I think. But aside from that, I think it is pretty exceptional. It's just fun. It's just an absolute blast to watch. Get some friends and check it out for sure.
I think this show would be great to like just binge on a weekend and like make a drinking game out of every time there's like a gay scene.
Yeah,
we would not survive the night.
I would say that would be a little
too
too many shots there.
I think you'll be dead by episode 3.
Yeah. But it's great. I really can't recommend this one enough. It was just an absolute blast. And I'm talking to Logan right now when I say that.
He's deafened.
Oh, okay. Someone tell him to come back.
So we can talk about spoilers.
Oh wait. Well, I don't want to. No, we've already avoided it. I think, again, like I said, if it's for a general show or whatever, that's fine. But just because I think the twist, like learning the twist, would ruin a lot of the fun, we should avoid it.
Yeah. I'm fine not talking about the twist specifically. Just know that there's a twist, and it's one of the best twists of all time.
Yeah. But yeah, watch Bravern.
Watch Bravern.
All right. Last one. We have Undead Unluck. Logan, since you're put in timeout, you want to talk about this one?
Yeah. So Undead Unluck. It's very clear from the anime that the manga is super cool, and sometimes the anime is super cool. But it also feels like there's some like pretty palpable adaptation decay going on, which is always kind of troubling. There is a lot of recap and a lot of flashbacks to
I would
things
say
that we just
a
saw.
Bordering on unprofessional amount at times.
Yes.
Where it is jarring and really takes you out of the action of what's happening.
This is the show that would benefit most from being freed from the like television must be 28 minutes or 24 minutes, must be 24 episodes kind of position
production
that it's stuck in. Yeah, exactly. From that kind of production, because it feels like for the sake of pacing, there were a lot of episodes that either could have been shorter or maybe been crammed together and been slightly longer or other things like that. And sometimes it looks a little ugly, but also sometimes it looks really cool. So, it kind of balances out in the end. But the narrative is, for as weird and confusing as it is, I think surprisingly tight and very strong. I liked it a lot. I really liked the kind of the main characters, especially. Andy and Fuko, I think, were
they're great.
Very strong leading pair, and they kind of come out of the gate as like a very strong cast, a pair of characters. And I think for the most part, the side characters are also really strong. The bit at the end that we basically just watched with the author, whose name escapes me, That was
Ano
all
Un.
like
Ano-un, which is a great
Ano
name.
Un.
Yeah.
So- 'cause
Yeah,
it's unknown.
which was really cool, and also kind of came out of nowhere. Like they had built him up a little bit, but I wasn't expecting him to be like that sick of a character like he was at the end. So yeah, this is built up a really cool world and a strong cast of characters, and I just wish that it had a sleeker production that some other really good manga get.
What
Because,
sucks is that like it's David, and like it's got incredible animation when it wants to. Sometimes it looks very good. So it's just it makes the rest of the issues a little weird and jarring. Because otherwise, like it's got some pretty phenomenal action when it wants to. I really like Undead Unluck. I think it has a entirely unique premise that I've really never seen. It goes like it's got a great narrative going on. It's very off kilter and weird. And I think it does a good job of playing into that and keeping it mysterious the whole time, just in the way that the world works, the way that like the book, the rule system, and how like things about the world fundamentally change as they move on, and it's all very cool.
The reveal that like the reason there aren't any, like there is an in-universe reason why there aren't any stars, and then the stars show up later was so cool to me the first time I saw it.
Yeah, extremely neat. It's got a great sense of visual style. The way that Andy fights is a very unique. Like he just fucking lops his limbs off and flies with blood power everywhere. It's very funny looking. Also, his wiener and balls are hanging out most. Where's the full 18 plus Andy cock cut? By the way,
Yo, I want to see the Andy cock cut.
To be fair though, the censors are very
it's like
funny.
the censor bar is one of my favorite characters in the show. So
going over time on that one. But yeah, honestly, I think that the manga is probably phenomenal, and I probably am going to want to go read it at some point soon, just to see how it compares adaptationally. But it's good. What I really want is someone to edit out all of the fucking filler and the recap,
the recap filler,
and get probably a good 21 to 22 episodes or whatever that are all gas. But oh well,
instead of the 25 that we got.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think like the only like weird pacing was like during the it was the Yume Rot, I think.
Yeah, the Decay one.
Decay, yeah, that's what it was. That arc was like 4 or 5 episodes long, when it should have easily been like 3.
Like 2 or 3, yeah.
The Rot, is that in the
Western one?
Cowboy Town?
Yeah.
The cowboy,
with the teacher,
okay, with the zombies. Okay,
yeah, like that should have easily been like 2 or 3 episodes, instead it was like 5.
Yeah, that took way too long.
But like the last arc of it, like covering like the manga, that first of all, that's a crazy reveal that like the entire story has already been written out by a mangaka in universe.
I love that arc. It was a brilliant arc. It was exceptionally well told the whole way through. Even the part where Fuka was in the like fake world book or whatever and traveled
in Andy's memories.
Yeah. She spent 10 real years there, which is insane.
And
anyway,
apparently like that entire arc is like only chapter 50 of the 200 chapters that are out right now of Undead Unluck, which is wild because like that felt like very like end game, because like you there's a lot of reveals in that arc. So I want to see like where it goes from here. Yeah,
I've seen some spoilers, and I think it makes sense where it's at right now.
I mean, if anything, the show likes to play its cards close to its chest, and I think that there's a lot we probably haven't even found out about yet still. Even though it does feel like we're kind of ramping up, I could totally see how it gets padded out. And I don't know. I'm just excited for more. I don't know how soon. Probably not anytime soon that we'll get more of this anime, so I feel like it's more likely.
We'll probably have something announced in August, I think, is what they said.
Okay. I still would maybe not expect a new season.
Yeah, I mean, it's David Productions, and they take a while with their stuff.
I might just end up reading it. But I really enjoyed this show. I think it was pretty great the whole way through. It had a couple of flop episodes here and there, but I think the compelling episodes, the good ones, were always very memorable. So
yeah. I mean, like we keep saying, like the manga arc is just so good.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Undead?
I don't know if this was like in the mid season or if we mentioned it at all. The first OP and ED are very good.
It's true.
The
I
second OP
agree.
and ED are okay.
I like the second ED. But yeah. All right. I think
The
that's
first
it.
ED hits harder.
It's
don't
true.
get
I
me
do love
wrong.
the first ED. Okay. That's it. We got them. That is how we felt about the winter anime and also all of the leftovers, which honestly, the leftovers are some of the best shows this season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and do a top 3, run it down.
Oh, shit.
Try to include at least one show that did not start in fall.
Yeah. Okay, so we can't use the leftovers, right? So
no, we
Frieren,
can't. No, you can. I'm just
We can?
saying,
Okay.
don't make like. I would
Don't
be
make it
tempted to do
all
all
be
3.
the
Yeah, I
leftovers.
would be tempted to do all 3. So
Okay. Yeah. No. Okay. So my 3 recommended would definitely be Yubisaki to Renren.
let's just ban Frieren. How about that? We'll just ban Frieren.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, I don't want to ban.
Okay,
Frieren.
fine.
Shangri-La Frontier and Frieren. No. You Bravern. Yuki
Yeah,
Bakahatsu, Bang Bravern,
Bravern. Hell yeah.
and Frieren. Those are my 3.
Okay. I'm just gonna honorable mention that I can just put that Kusuriya and Frieren are obviously recommended. I've said plenty about them. I'm not gonna talk about them here because I think it's a waste of time. Y'all know that I like them. So my ones not including those 2 are gonna be Boku Yaba season 2, really just recommended for the whole show. Sengoku Yoko, which especially towards the end
Yeah.
is really popping off. And then Bravern. I fucking love Bravern, dude.
So I am, and don't hold me to this order in the slightest.
Yeah, me same.
I am going to say Kusuriya, Frieren, and Sengoku Yoko.
Okay.
I think those are my top 3. I don't think that's necessarily the order, but
Right.
Me in no order would be Kusuriya, Renren, and Frieren.
Okay. All right, and that does it. We are going to come at you next with our mid-season check-in on the current airing spring shows.
I hope to God we actually release it this time.
Yeah, shut up. And then after that, we should have, I guess the summer preview is after that.
Yeah.
But that'll be a little ways out. So until then, hope you like these
say that.
shows. Hope you enjoyed these shows. Glad to finally be finished
done
with a
with the
lot of them.
season.
Yeah, to be done with the season for sure and put it to bed. All right, that's it. Have a great rest of your night.
See you guys later.
Bye.